Conditionals in Java. Whenever I hear this phrase, I usually think of if and else statements. And what this is going to look like is we'll have the word if, and then a set of parentheses will come afterwards. And then we'll follow that with a set of curly braces. So what we're really doing here is we're going to put something in these two parentheses, and we're going to evaluate it. And if it's true, then we'll execute whatever is in between these two curly braces. We can also add an else statement with curly braces. So if this actually turns out to be false, then we'll have an alternative. So we can put in a boolean in here. So let's first declare a boolean, and let's just call it bool and set it to true. Remember, I said that whatever is in these parentheses, if it's evaluated to true, then the code in here will run. So if bool is true, then let's print something out. So we can print it turned out to be true. And of course here we can write that it turned out to be false. So when we run this program, we'll definitely expect it to print out this first line because we set the variable bool to be true here. And yes, it turned out to be true. So when we set bool to false, then we'll get that it says it turned out to be false. Another thing that you can do with these conditional statements is put in mathematical operations. So let's say if we want to evaluate 3 plus 3, and if we want to check if that's really true or not, then we can do 2 equal signs and see if it's equal to 6. So what I just did here was put 2 equal signs, which is way different than just putting 1 equal sign. And what this really does is check for equality between the left side and the right side. So we're checking if 3 plus 3, if that quantity is equal to 6. Whereas here, we're setting an identifier called bool to the value false. So this is used for assignment, while this is used for checking equality. So if 3 plus 3 equals 6, then yeah, we can print that out. And else, if this for some reason does not evaluate to be true, then we can say that something went very wrong. And so if we run this, we'll get that it says it turned out to be true. Okay, so you can also have multiple if-else statements. So instead of just ending it here with the else, you can do else if something. And then you can also have an else like that. So you can literally just keep expanding like this. You could have like an infinite amount of if and else if statements. So an example of this would be if you had an integer, so int my int is equal to 0. So if you check my int, if you check that it's equal to 0, then you can say int is 0. Else if my int is equal to 1, int is 1, and on and on and on. So this would be my int is equal to 2, print out blah blah blah, and else print int is none of these numbers. Something like that. So that's just a really quick example of using multiple if and else if statements. So that's pretty much it for if and else statements, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll go over for and while loops.